Dear students, today our topic of discussion is a poem, The Spider and the Fly, written by Mary Howitt. So today in this presentation, I'll discuss only the theme and the summary of the poem. So first of all, the central idea. The Spider and the Fly reveals the story of a cunning spider that allures. Allures means to attract. A knife fly, knife means innocent, with his devious words, devious means dishonest or cunning, and finally makes her fall into his trap. The spider tries to convince the fly to step into his home. He tries to entice is synonymous to allures, same to attract, with the promise of showing her some pretty things in his home. He offers her a comfortable bed. He tries to deceive her by faking concern for the fly's weariness. Weariness means tiredness. He tries to befriend means to be friendly, the fly, by cordially means in a warm and friendly way, welcoming her to his pantry. However, the fly is smart enough not to fall into his trap. She repeatedly dismisses him by telling him that she is aware of what happens to the victims that enter his trap. The spider then attempts to please her vanity. Vanity means excessive pride of one's own appearance or achievement, by calling her wings beautiful and her eyes bright and shiny. He flatters the fly in order to trick her. He even suggests the fly to have a look at her own beauty in his home. The fly is flattered by his deceiving gestures and plans on visiting the spider again. And when the spider comes back to the spider, he catches her instantly. The poem ends with a small message to all the children. The poet cautions the children against flattery by evil counselors. Counselors mean advisor. She asks them to take a lesson from the fly's foolishness resulting in her tragic end and warns them not to be deceived by false flattery. Now the stanza-wise summary. First, stanza 1. Will you walk into my parlor? Said the spider to the fly. 'Tis the prettiest little parlor that ever you did spy. The way into my parlor is up a winding stair, and I have many pretty things to show when you are there. Oh, no, no, said the little fly, to ask me is in vain, for who goes up your winding stair can never come down again. So the poem opens with a dialogue between a predator. Predator means an animal that kills and eats other animals. And prey. Prey means an animal that is killed by another for food. So here the predator is the spider and the prey is the fly. In the first stanza, we observe the spider alluring the fly to his parlor. He tries to entice the fly by saying that he has many pretty things to show her inside the parlor. Parlor means the sitting room or living room. The spider portrays his home as a mysterious place, as the prettiest little parlor, to trick the little fly into his web. The fly understands that it's a trap and rejects his invitation by saying that she knows that whoever goes in there never comes out. Stanza 2. I'm sure you must be weary, dear, with soaring up so high. Will you rest upon my little bed? Said the spider to the fly. There are pretty curtains drawn around, and sheets are fine and thin, and if you like to rest a while, I'll snugly tuck you in. Oh, no, no, said the little fly, for I have often heard it said, the never wake again who sleep upon your bed. So in this stanza, the spider employs a different trick to convince the fly to enter his home. He fakes concern for her by saying that she must be tired and offers her to get some rest on his snug little bed. Snug means comfortable. He tries to tempt her. Tempt means entice, with a false sense of security, and he says that there are pretty curtains drawn around. He tries to appeal to the fly's heart by cunningly offering a shoulder to rest. He tries to establish a connection before he gets ready to eat his prey. Thankfully, exhausted or not, exhausted means very tired. The fly is aware of the fact that if she goes in to rest, she might end up sleeping forever. So, she refuses the spider's offer and says that she is absolutely aware that whoever goes to sleep on his bed never wakes up. The repetition of the word never emphasizes on the distrust of the fly for the spider. Stanza 3. Said the cunning spider to the fly, Dear friend, what shall I do to prove the warm affection I have always felt for you? I have within my pantry good store of all that's nice. I'm sure you are very welcome. Will you please to take a slice? Oh no, no, said the little fly. Kind sir, that can't be. I've heard what's in your pantry and I do not wish to see. So this time the spider tries to befriend the fly by calling her dear friend. He wants to establish a false bond of friendship and affection in order to lure. Lure means tempt or entice or attract the fly into his home. Again he tries to persuade. Persuade means to convince someone, the fly, to fulfill his wish by offering her good food from his pantry. The fly is, however, determined not to be tricked by the cunning spider. She tactfully means dealing with skill. She tactfully refers to the spider as kind sir and tells him that she is not interested in seeing what he has to offer her. Now, stanza 4. Sweet creature, said the spider, you are witty and you are wise. How handsome are your cozy wings, how brilliant are your eyes. Have a little looking glass upon my parlor's shelf. You will step in one if you will step in one moment, dear, you shall behold yourself. I thank you, gentle sir, she said, for what you are pleased to say, and bidding you good morning now, I'll call another day. The spider doesn't give up. This time he tries to flatter the fly into doing what he wants her to do. He calls her a sweet creature that is witty. Witty means entertaining and wise. He acknowledges the fly's smartness and decides to coax. Coax means persuade. Coax her by repeatedly complimenting. Complimenting means to praise or express admiration. He also compliments her appearance. How handsome are your gauzy? Gauzy means transparent. How brilliant are your eyes? He wants to show the fly how beautiful she is by offering her a looking glass to look at herself and appreciate her own beauty. The point to be noted is that until now the spider had been asking her to step into his home. Will you walk into my parlor? Will you rest upon my little bed? Will you please to take a slice? But this time, the first time, he suggests her to do something. I have a little looking glass upon my parlor shelf. If you will step in one moment, dear, you shall behold yourself. Perhaps it affects mean influence. Affects the fly's reply. She shifts her tone from a firm, oh no, no, to a soft, I thank you, gentle sir. This is the first instance means example, where the readers are made to anticipate, means foresee, or expect, or predict the fate of the fly. Either the fly is quite flattered, or perhaps she tries to stall the spider by saying that she will visit him some other day. Stanza 5. The spider turned him round about and went into his den, for well he knew the silly fly would soon be back again. So he wove a subtle web in a little corner sly and set his table ready to dine upon the fly. Then he came out to his door again and merrily did sing, come hither, hither, pretty fly with a pearl and silver wing. Your robes are green and purple, there's a crest upon your head. Your eyes are like the diamond bright, but mine are dull as lead. The spider went into his den. The use of the word den is vital here. Traditionally, we associate a spider with a web, but den gives a certain authority. Authority means power to the spider. It makes the spider come across as a strong and superior. Superior means higher ranking creature than the fly. He is confident that the fly is flattered and will soon return to him. He weaves a subtle means fine, web in a little corner to trap the fly. He carefully sets his dining table and waits for the fly. He refers to the witty and wise fly as silly now that he knows that she has fallen into his trap. The spider eagerly goes to the door and calls out the fly, come hither, hither, pretty fly with a pearl and silver wing. Stanza 6. Alas, alas, how very soon the silly little fly, hearing his wildly fluttering words, came slowly flitting by. With buzzing wings she hung aloft, then near and nearer drew, thinking only of her brilliant eyes and green and purple hue. Thinking only of her crested head, poor foolish thing, at last up jumped the cunning spider and fiercely held her fast. He dragged her up his winding stair into his dismal den within his little parlor, but she never came out again. The spider seems even more confident now. The weapon of vanity worked out for him, and he finally deceived the fly to succumb. Succumb means surrender to his evil desires. The fly is bewitched. Bewitched means captivated by the spider's flattery and decides to slowly approach the spider's web. The fly is engrossed. Engrossed means same as bewitched in her own beauty and thinks only of her brilliant eyes and her crested head. Taking advantage of this moment, the spider pounces on her. Pounces means jump and fiercely catches her. The spider quickly drags her up to his winding stair and then to his den and finally to his little parlor. The fly's words finally hold true for her own self as well as she never comes out of the devious spider's home. Last stanza. And now, dear little children, who may this story read, to idle, silly, flattering words, I pray you never give heed. Unto an evil counselor, close heart and ear and eye, and take a lesson from this tale of the spider and the fly. We observe a sudden change in the tone and narration of the poem in the last stanza. The poet carefully transforms the story into a message to the children reading the poem. The poet advises and warns the children not to pay attention to idle, silly, and flattering words. She asks everyone to take a lesson from the story of the spider and the fly and asks them not to commit the same mistake that the fly committed. So this is the theme and the summary of this poem. In the next presentation, I'll discuss in detail. Thank you.